Olá, bom dia. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Sonia.
Yay.
Here.
Good to be here.
So, welcome everybody. This is our first meeting that we're trying to do it through Zoom and Facebook at the same time. So let's give this a shot. And I want to start with bringing our attention to our new study that we're conducting on Mondays called Encontros à Luz do Evangelho de Jesus. So this is a meeting that we talk about the gospel according to Spiritism and a few texts from Emmanuel. This is in Portuguese and it happens on Mondays at 8 o'clock, right after our public meeting on Mondays. So we're happy to invite you all to this new to this new study, and hopefully you can join us there. And then there's another announcement, which is our book club, which is happening on March 20th. The book is called Entre a Terra e o Céu by Chico Xavier. Also, it'll be in Portuguese, but if there are people that don't speak Portuguese and would like to participate, please let us know, and then we'll do it in English. So those are the two announcements for today, and we will start with a book called Our Daily Bread. And the text that came through is called Have You Thought About This? And we will start this text, and then we'll move on to our meeting. And because this is a Zoom meeting, we're also streaming it on Facebook, so it is public for everyone. Everyone can see. And we invite you to participate either by speaking through Zoom, by posting comments on YouTube, or even posting comments on the Zoom chat as well. We can monitor it all, and just trying to encourage some participation. So have you thought about this? Our daily bread. And this comes from the second Gospel from Peter, chapter 1. And he said, because I know that I will soon put it aside, as our Lord Jesus Christ has made clear to me. If on many occasions great Christian voices have referred to supposed crimes of the flesh, it is necessary then to mention the weakness of the self and the inferiority of our spirit. So we must not falsely accuse the body as if it were playing up the part of insatiable executioner separated from the soul, who would then be seen as its prisoner and victim. We notice that Peter considered the physical body to be his tabernacle. The human body is a conjunction of agglutinated cells or earthly fluids that are united under the planetary laws, offering the spirit the saintly opportunity to learn, to value, to reform, and to aggrandize life, to expand life, to make life bigger. Man frequently, as an idle and perverse laborer, attributes the evil qualities that are assaulting him to this useful instrument. The body is a concession of the divine mercy, so that the soul may receive preparation for the advent of a glorious future. Rather than casting accusations at the body, let us reflect upon the millenniums spent in the formation of the sacred tabernacle in the field of evolution. Have you ever come to realize that you are an immortal spirit taking advantage during a specific time here on earth of valuable potentials conceded to you by God in order to fulfill your work requirements? Such forces have formed your body. What are you doing with your feet, your hands, your eyes, and your brain? Do you know that there are powers that were confined to you in order that you honor the Lord through your own enlightenment? Meditate over these questions and then sanctify your body, thus finding within in a divine temple. So let us join in prayer now. Closing our eyes, elevating our thoughts to Jesus, realizing that he's here with us. And we're aiming to make him alive within us by sharing some of his words, sharing some of his teachings, especially sharing one of his feelings. We're here today to bring awareness to our feelings, to bring awareness of the importance of our feelings as Jesus so beautifully and so lovingly taught us. We ask that our guardian angels who are here today inspires us, so we can convey the message so we can convey our thoughts and our emotions through words of Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to be here today, to be sharing this Sunday with all of our brothers and sisters. And may we connect. May we find our commonalities. May we find our love in the peace of Jesus Christ. So be it. So thank you, everybody, for being here. As I'm gonna say it again, that we're live on Facebook with this, and whoever is on Zoom, just so you are aware. And I invite you all to participate with comments and questions through YouTube or Zoom. I'm just going to post something on YouTube. Perfect. So without further ado, let's start talking a little bit about feelings. What is the importance of feelings to us? So this, I've been thinking about this for, about a month and a half or so, giving a lot of thought and thinking about it, my feelings a lot, and trying to understand them. And so it really inspired me to talk about it, to talk a little bit about feelings. And the more I talk about it, the more I thought about it, and the more I saw one talk from Artur Valadares, the more I realized I couldn't just talk once. So this will be part one of likely a 3 or 4 different talks that I'll expand upon, so I can truly portray the importance of feelings. So first we'll talk about the importance of feelings, and then perhaps I'll bring about a text. On the second talk, I'll go deeper onto what drives the feelings, and then perhaps on the next one, I'll look about how to manage and how to transform our feelings. So we'll be talking about feelings for a while here, and let's start with today talking about the importance, and we will come on. This talk today is based on a talk from Artur Valadares called "Feeling," and also he brings us a lot of literature to give basis and to enforce and to show that the things we're talking about is also seen in many different facets of Spiritism, such as the book Vine of Light, The Gospel According to Spiritism, The Messengers, the book Thought and Life, and obviously the Gospel of Jesus. Can't remember how to hide this. Anyhow, let us start then. So the first thing that we usually do is to bring a reflection. And with regards to feelings, I want us to think a little bit about the importance of it. How much are feelings important to you? Are feelings really important to you? Do you give thought, or do you give importance to your feelings? And then why? Why do we think that feelings are important? And then the last one is how. How do we give importance to feelings? And these questions, they'll be addressed today and also on these other talks to come. So the importance of feeling. This is the basis of today's talk. And first and foremost, it is one of the three attributes of spirit. As we all know, we are mortal spirits here on earth, and we're given three attributes. Three attributes compose the spirit. And these are the thought, the feelings, and the will. Right? The will is what brings those about into action. So thought, feeling, and will. So there's the first clue, right? The importance of feeling is because it is one of the three attributes of the spirit. So trying to shut it down will bring an imbalance to our spirit. And secondly, and most importantly perhaps, to bring us the idea of how important feelings are. We can think about Jesus, we can think about the gospel, we can think about how his message was a great school for feelings. He brought us this education about feelings. Not only was he teaching us what is right, what is wrong, but most importantly, he brought the feeling, especially the feeling of love, to us. And we can see this in all his interactions, that he would always, whenever he was teaching something, he would always try to reach somebody's feeling. He was always seeking for people's hearts, not for people's eyes, for people's thoughts, but for people's hearts. And that's one of the reasons why his encounters were so effective, if you will, because he was always speaking to people's heart. He was always giving this importance to people's feelings and people's emotions. So he was always seeking for that heart. So not only is feeling an attribute of our spirit, but it's also one of the main reasons why Christ came to us, to teach us more about it, to allow us to evolve our feelings, to purify our feelings, and show that it is through those that we're able to evolve. And so we'll be bringing a few texts from Emmanuel, and also from the gospel and from the Spiritist doctrine. And the first one is a text from the book Vine of Light, entitled "Let's Care for the Heart." And here is an amazing passage from Emmanuel that really brings home how important feelings are. He says that it is urgent for us to recognize that in the feeling lies the control of life. So the control of life resides within our feelings. A lot of times we think feelings make us mellow, feelings make us weak. But Emmanuel is actually telling us that feelings is where we can find the control to our own lives. And we'll be bringing this reflection throughout our talk today, because it truly is, or to me at least, it was very touching, and it made a lot of sense to me when Emmanuel puts that feelings is the control of life. So welcome. There's more people that joined us since we started. Just wanted to remind everybody that we are live on YouTube as well. So for anybody who wants to participate through Zoom and speak, just be aware that it'll also show up on YouTube. And now to unravel a little bit about this talk we're having about feelings, we're going to bring something from the Gospel according to Spiritism, where Kardec brought us in chapter 15, so roughly the middle of that book. He brought us this maxim that without charity there's no salvation. And if we were to reflect a little bit about salvation, if we were to reflect a little bit about charity, we can think about the material side of charity, the giving, which is also important. But Christ and Kardec, they bring us an idea of charity that goes beyond the material. Charity is this collective of feelings that we develop within ourselves. If you go to the Spirits book, when Kardec asks, what is the meaning of charity as intended by Christ? The answer are three feelings. The answer is benevolence, is indulgence, and is forgiveness. So you can see how charity is a collective of feelings. Forgiveness, love, fraternity, right? So many of them all make up charity. And then Kardec told us that without charity, there is no salvation. So this illuminated feeling, this purified feeling that we can find in charity is what is going to bring us salvation. So this purifying of our feelings is what is going to bring us liberation, freedom, the evolution of the spirit, the enlightenment of our spirit. So again, another piece talking about how important feelings are, now coming from the Gospel according to Spiritism. And then Emmanuel also tells us, also in the book Vine of Light, chapter 116, on a text entitled Not Only, he says that kindness and knowledge, bread and light, protection and enlightenment, feeling and conscience are divine arches that integrate the perfect circles of charity. Not only receive and give, but also teach and learn. So Emmanuel again is bringing us that the circle of charity is a collective of feelings. It's the kindness, it's the light, it's the enlightenment, it's the protection, and so on and so forth. Now, since we're talking about feelings, one of the greatest apostles of Christ, if you will, one of the ones that I truly enjoy reading about and thinking about is our good brother Paul. He can truly touch our hearts, and no better than him to talk about feelings, to talk about love. So in this first letter to the Corinthians in chapter 13, he gave us, I might be biased, but he gave us an amazing tribute to feelings, especially to the feeling of love. He told us that I may speak in different languages. I may speak of different languages of people or even languages of angels. But if I do not have love, I am only a noisy bell or a crashing cymbal. So Paul is telling us that even if we speak the language of angels, even if we say the words that angels are saying to us, are telling us, even if I do that, if I don't have love, I'm just a noisy bell. I'm just a hollow piece of noise. And then he goes on to say that I may have the gift of prophecy, right? So I may have the gift to talk about prophecy, to talk about God. He says, I may understand all the secret things of God. I may have all the knowledge. And I may have a faith that is so great that it'll move mountains. So I may have everything. I may have the gift of prophecy. I may know all the secrets of God. I may have all the knowledge. I may have the faith that moves mountains. But even if with all those things, if I do not have love, I am nothing. So this again gives us the importance of feelings. All these other things we can collect through knowledge. But if I don't have love, I am nothing. He goes on to say, I may give away everything I have. Right? So I may donate things. I may give everything I have. He even says, I may even give my body offering to be burned. But I gain nothing if I do not have love. So again, Paul is bringing us this testament of feelings. This is how important feeling and how important love is in front of everything else. The feeling is truly, truly what matters. He goes on to say that love is patient, that love is kind, that love is not jealous, it does not brag, and it is not proud. He said that love is not rude, it's not selfish, and does not get upset with others. Love does not count up wrongs that have been done. Love takes no pleasure in evil, but rejoices over the truth. And love patiently accepts all things. It always trusts, always hopes, and always endures. So he's telling us here that love can do all these things. If we bring what Emmanuel told us, that that feelings is the control of our lives, we can say also that love is what can control all our reactions. Because love is patient, love is kind, love is not jealous. And we'll talk more about this as well. When we think about the law of love now, going back to the Gospel according to Spiritism on chapter 11, item 8, when Lazarus gives us a beautiful message about the law of love. He tells us that love sums up the whole doctrine of Jesus, since that is the feeling par excellence. So again, when we started this talk, we were talking about the importance of feeling and how Jesus came here to teach us how to transform our sensations into feelings. He came here to teach us about love. And there Lazarus is telling us the exact same thing. Love sums up the whole doctrine of Jesus. And then he goes on to say that and feelings are instincts raised to the level of accomplished progress. So now we can start to develop a little bit about the development of feelings, that it follows this spirit evolution. It follows how our spirit evolves. It starts with instincts that are raised to the level of an accomplished progress. Suningan is bringing to us that the reason is the human path. The feeling is the divine light, coming from Emmanuel and feeling and reason. And absolutely, the feeling is the divine light. And we'll see some other references here by Emmanuel, how the feeling is truly our sanctuary, as he says. And please, if you guys want to participate with talking, like asking a question or giving a comment, please just unmute and go ahead and interrupt me at any time. Lazarus goes on to say that in its origin, man has only instincts. When more advanced and corrupt, they become sensations. When educated and purified, he has feelings. Right? So here we can see the spectrum. So it all starts in our origin as instincts. As we start to advance, they become sensations or passions. And as those evolve, as we start to educate, as we start to purify our feelings, they become feelings. We transform those sensations into feelings, into true love. He says, and the delicate point of feeling is love, that inner sun that condenses and gathers in its ardent focus of all aspirations and all superhuman revelations. So it is in feeling, it is in loving where we will focus in all of our aspirations and all our superhuman revelations. Superhuman revelations meaning that through the feeling, through love, we can connect more deeply with the divine, with the superhuman revelations, with our spirit. And if you go to question 941 from the Spirit's book, when in the answer, we have a comparison between the material man and the moral man. We have there an explanation that the moral man has put himself above all his passionate sensations, all of the necessities driven by passion. And through that, he can experience the divine by not focusing on the passions, by focusing on these newly purified feelings. He can truly feel the divine in him. Things that are not conceivable to the material man, feelings that the material man has not felt yet. And he goes on even to say that for the man, for the moral man, the circumstances no longer affect them, because this inner sanctuary is developing, is what drives us. And it brings us this reflection that the care to cultivate our feelings. So what we're doing right now, giving attention, giving focus, giving importance to our feelings, giving care, starting to cultivate our feelings, that in itself is already an expression that we are purifying, that we are evolving, that we are constructing our moral. The feeling, this purified feeling, is truly our goal. We can. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Victor. I just would like to collaborate with your speech a little bit as you open this option to us. So I would like to take advantage of that. And I just would like to add that feelings are so important for us to understand them, to see them, to pay attention on them, because many of us, we don't understand the difference between feelings and emotions. And another day I was listening to this lecture from Spiritizar, and then a little explained this two concepts very clearly for me. And the feelings is the feeling itself, like the love, for instance. Love is the feeling, but the emotion is what we feel in our body, what you feel in our heart, in our material, in a very material way. So when we feel love, we feel like a peace inside us, like we feel in peace. We feel like a sensation that is very good for us. We feel better. And the contrary is true as well. Like if you feel hate, we have this sensation that is bad. We feel like our heart it's heavy. We feel sad, or every negative feelings. So which means that we need to understand that all those feelings, they promote our health or our ill. So it's an understanding our feelings is good for us in a very whole way, like our body, our souls, our life, in everything, in all aspects of our lives. The feelings, they impact our lives. So it's important to be aware how we can understand and how we can embrace the feelings that we are having in that moment.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sonia. It was really good. Appreciate you sharing your voice and your thoughts with us. And absolutely, this, as we'll see a little bit later, the feeling is what drives the reaction in our body. So if we're feeling something good, our body will respond in a good way. If we're feeling something that's more of a sensation, that's more of a passion, it also won't do good to our bodies. You also won't do good for our reactions. And bringing us back to that text from Vine of Light called Let's Care for the Heart, Emmanuel brings us that feeling is the creature's sanctuary. Without light inside, it is impossible to reflect the luminous peace that flows continuously from above. So this lines up with a comment that Sonia posted earlier on, right? She said that feeling is the divine light, also by Emmanuel. Emmanuel again brings to us this idea that the feeling is our sanctuary. It's our divine sanctuary within us. And with every sanctuary comes that idea that it's the source, is the base. It's what holds us. And this is what we're going to use to make a reflection now about how we can talk about our own feelings, the feelings that we develop within ourselves, and how they are impacted by the exterior. So he says that if we go to what Christ told us in John, he told us that I leave you peace. My peace I give you. I do not give it to you as the world does. So in this idea that our feeling is our divine sanctuary, and that we're constantly receiving light from above, we're constantly receiving this peace that Christ has given to us. If we don't cultivate this sanctuary, we won't get this divine peace. We won't get this divine light. And since we don't get it, we won't be able to portray it to the outside. We won't be able to reflect it to the outside. And to bring us an analogy about this, I thought about, or Arturo brought us the idea of a storm. And this picture, I actually took this picture from a plane when I was going to Cuiabá in Brazil. couple of years ago to FAME, to the Federation, to the Spiritist Federation of the state of Mato Grosso. I went there for a week, and on the plane, I took this picture, and you can see that you have a storm right on the bottom left corner there. You have a storm, but that above that storm, there's peace. And that this storm is limited to that space. Whereas what lies above, which is the peace, is infinite. So if you think about when we are in a storm and we look up, all we can see is the storm. All we can see is the cloud. It seems like we're trapped in that storm. But as we start to elevate our thoughts, as we start to rise our thoughts, as we hit the clouds, as we go above the clouds, we can then see that the sun is out there. That even though I'm in a storm down here, just a little bit above me, the sun is shining. The peace is shining. So the reflection that we wanted to bring about this is that the storms that we bring in our lives, right, usually powered by our egos, right? It's like we're surrounded on this storm, and because we're surrounded in this storm, we're surrounded by clouds. This divine light, this divine peace, it tries to get in, but we block it with our own internal egos, with our own internal storms, if you will. But what's amazing is that once we start to develop this feeling with someone, once we start to purify our feelings, once we start to cultivate love, if you will. As Emmanuel told us, the feeling, by being the sanctuary in our hearts, by being the sanctuary of our spirit, our feeling can connect to the divine. Our feelings can connect to the light. Which means that as we start to develop these feelings, it's just as if we were poking holes on this cloud that surrounds us. And I'm sure many of you have seen, if you are in a storm and there's a hole in the cloud and the light shines through, we get rainbows. So when we are in a storm and we cultivate that inner feeling, that inner love that pokes a hole through our cloud and can reach the peace from the divine, it can reach the peace of Christ as he has given to us. That light, that little hole on our clouds can shine a light through and can make a rainbow. And can be that energy that helps us to move forward. No matter how bad the storm is, that light will always shine as long as we can connect to it, as long as we can poke that hole through our clouds. And this brings us the reflection that Jesus told us that he did not give us peace the way the world gives us peace. So if we were to think about this, how is peace in this world? How is peace in the material world? Well, peace is when things are going okay, when I'm free from pain, when I'm free from violence, when I'm inside, cozy and warm, not outside at -35. So peace is very circumstantial. The worldly peace is something that comes from the outside in. But the peace that Christ gave us is different. The peace that Christ gave us Again, always trying to teach and reach us through our feelings. He's telling us that by developing our feelings, by purifying our feelings, we can reach this inner peace that is unconditional of how our surroundings are. If we have established that sanctuary within us, if we have that connection to the divine, if we have poked a hole through our clouds that the light can shine, the circumstances of the world no longer matter to the way that we're feeling. We can always find peace in whatever storm we're in. So that comes to show that our feelings is truly what control our lives. Again, what Emmanuel told us in the beginning of this talk, right? It is in the feelings that our control of our lives resides. So a lot of times we are trying to control the outside, we're trying to control the exterior, but we know we can't. And whenever we're trying to control the exterior to make us feel better, when we realize we can't, we feel anxiety, we feel insecurity, we feel jealousy, and so on. But when it comes to us controlling our lives, when it comes to us developing our feelings, we're able to control it because it is our lives that we're trying to control. So no matter what's happening on the outside, I can control my feelings. I can feel, I can find serenity, I can find calmness, I can find peace, no matter what's happening out there. So again, this exemplifies this inner sanctuary that is our feelings, like Emmanuel told us. And now, if we go to a reflection from the book Thought and Life, one of the favorite books from Louis, on chapter 1, very first text, when he talks about mirror of life, Emmanuel brings us the idea that the reflection sketches the emotionality, and then emotionality shapes the idea determines the attitude and the word that command the actions. In a similar fashion, the threads that generate the causes from which the circumstances are born become either obliterative valves or levers that liberate existence. So let us reflect about this a little bit because it's it's really important. And it ties in with what Sonia told us. Emmanuel tells us that the reflection sketches the emotionality. What he's trying to tell us here is that the reflection being all the circumstances from the outside, they first reach our emotions. So as we see something, as we're part of a circumstance, as we're part of an experience on the outside, that immediately reaches our emotions, immediately reaches our feelings. And those feelings, they will shape our idea, and our idea is what will determine our attitudes, our words that command our actions. So something that happens on the outside hits our feelings, shapes our ideas creates our words, our attitudes, and then we react, and then we act. So like Sonia was telling us, the outside will reach our feelings, but it is our feelings that will drive my reaction. So again, the reflection that we just did, something can be happening on the outside. It will reach us, it will reach our feelings. But if our feelings are purified, if our feelings are usually full of love, our reaction will also be full of love. And then Emmanuel, when he tells us that the feeling, right, it can become either obliterative valves or levers that liberate our existence. So he's telling us this, that we have this attribute of the Spirit, that is the feeling, and we can choose what to do with it. We can try to repress it, we can try to suppress it, so it becomes obliterative valves, or we can try to use those feelings to liberate our existence. By purifying those feelings, we can reach the salvation that Kardec told us. And Sunni is bringing us the comment that I can't control the facts, but I can control how I perceive the facts. And how I perceive the facts comes from how our feelings are. Like we just said, something is happening from the outside. It first reaches our feelings. Once it reaches our feelings will shape our ideas. It'll shape how we perceive things, right? We can have two people being exposed to the exact same thing. Their reactions will be different because what drives their reaction is their feeling. And their feeling is a construct. It's something that, as we saw from the message from Lazarus, it's an evolving attribute. Right? It starts as instinct, becomes sensations, and then it becomes feelings. Right? Some people have more sensations than feelings. Some people cultivate the passion over love, and so on and so forth. So people can be exposed to the exact same thing, right? Especially when we look at studies from twins. Right? Technically, the same genetic code, yet they react to things so differently. Again, it's bringing us this idea that our feelings is what drives it, and that because it's an attribute of the Spirit, it is something that comes with us, and that we've been evolving it for many and many reincarnations. And then in Matthew, Jesus brings us the idea that the mouth speaks the things that are in the heart. So Jesus is telling us that our mouth, and Artur actually brings a reflection about the word mouth, and how it can also, based on different translations, it can also express the Spirit, right? So the Spirit speaks the things that are in their heart. And it's true, and I'll talk a lot more about this in our next talk, but how our feelings can show through us, right? If you look at this kid, you can feel the happiness that he's feeling. You can feel the joy that he's feeling. It's because we portray, we pass on, we show what's in our hearts. And I'll talk a lot more about this on our next talk, and it's something that really touched me as well. And just want to also bring another reflection, or extending the reflection about how feelings are our sanctuary. It when we make that reflection, when we make that description that our sanctuary, it's similar to our basis, it's our foundation, right? If we start thinking that our feeling, it's our foundation, it's our base, right? We can extrapolate this and see this in two of Jesus's passages. One of them is the Last Supper, when he started to wash the apostles' feet. And in that moment, in John 13, when he came to Peter, Peter said, no, you're not washing my foot because you're the master. I'm not going to let you wash my feet. And then Jesus said, if I don't wash your feet, you're not one of my people. And then Peter said, well, if that's what you mean, then please go ahead and not only wash my feet, but also wash my hand, my head, and everything. And then Jesus said, after a person has had a bath, his whole body's clean. He needs only to wash his feet. So we can extrapolate this idea of the base, of the foundation, as our feet. Our feet is the foundation of our bodies, what holds us standing. If our foundation is crooked, if our foundation is not pure, if our foundation is not good, it will affect the entire body. The same with our feeling. If our feeling is our foundation, if our feeling is our basis, if our feelings are not doing so good, everything else will also not be so good. It will influence our thoughts, it will influence our reactions, it will influence our attitudes. So when we care for the basis, when we care for our feelings, when we wash our feelings, when we purify our feelings, everything else will start to unfold, just like Jesus did. Instead of washing their whole bodies, all he focused on was on the basis, was on the feet. And I want to end with a passage again from Emmanuel, from the book Living Spring. And the title is Way of Feeling. No news there. When he tells us that before Christ, thousands of men and women died on the cross. However, the Master's tree became an unquenchable light due to the quality of feeling with which the crucified once gave himself up to sacrifice, influencing the way of feeling of nations and centuries. So Emmanuel is telling us that before and after Christ, many men and many women died the same way he did on the cross for the Master. But Jesus, his cross became this unquenchable light. His cross was different than everybody else's. Why? Emmanuel tells us that. He says it's because the quality of the feeling that Christ was crucified with. His feeling in that moment. His feeling throughout his entire life is truly what influenced us and continue to influence us many generations and many nations. It's because his feelings were true. He was the true love to ever walk on this earth, which is why he is this unquenchable light that he can always provide us if we're open to receive. And ending with a passage from Paul when he tells us that you were taught to be made new in your hearts. So if we're trying to be better, if we're trying to improve ourselves, Paul is telling us that you're made new. You can recycle yourself. You can improve yourself, starting with our hearts. So thank you, everybody, for watching, for participating. Thank you, Sonia. This was our first Zoom meeting, and if you have any comments or questions or feedback, please let me know. Given this was the first time, we're always looking to improve and how to better be able to give our talks. So thank you all. And I'd like to end with a quick prayer if nobody else has any more comments or questions. So let us close our eyes. Let us reach this sanctuary that is our feeling. Let's reach this very intimate attribute that we have, so intimate. That is what connects us with the divine. It's what connects us with Christ, what connects us to our Father, our Creator. And let us nurture it. Let us give it care, because it is a main part of our spirit. By caring for our feelings, we're expressing our self-love. Thank you, Jesus, for your words. Thank you, Paul, for your beautiful words about love. Thank you, Emmanuel, for letting us know that our feelings is where the control of our lives lie. And thank you, Father, for creating all of this to allow us to be here today, talking about love, talking about feelings. And we ask that please continue to shine your light upon us and help us to be able to look up and say yes to that light, say yes to that peace, and improve our own sanctuary within. So be it. Thank you all. Really good to see you here. I see Claudia. Thanks for participating on YouTube. And thank you for all who are part of our Zoom. And tomorrow we have our public meeting at 7, and then at 8 we have our study about the gospel. Again, both in Portuguese, and hope to see you all there. Thank you.